Hello, and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod. On this episode 135, we have none other than Siwan Lillicrap, the Welsh captain who announced her international retirement last week. We talk all about the World Cup, where Welsh rugby is now, where it's come from, her personal journey, the club scene with Gloucester Hartpury, and a little quickfire section as well of her best and worst moments of her career. That's coming up. But first, a little bit of sevens and domestic news for you. Well, last weekend it was round 3 of the Premier 15s. Bristol beat DMP 84-12. Exeter triumphed 62-18 over Worcester. Quins squeezed past Saracens 19 points to 10. And Sale, who during their best ever start to the season, beat Loughborough by a single point, 15 points to 14. And Wasps fell to their third defeat, finishing 67-3 against Gloucester Hartpury. So Gloucester Hartpury lead the way on 14. Sale also 3 from 3 on 13 points. Exeter and Bristol make up that top 4. This week, Loughborough host Exeter. Wasps travel to DMP. Big game, that one. Worcester take on Bristol. Sale visiting Harlequins. And the champs host Gloucester Hartpury in another big old game. Over in Ireland, a huge game on Friday night. The Energia AIL Ireland League Women's Division final between Blackrock College and Railway Union, who are in touching distance of their third consecutive title. Railway overcame Old Belvedere 34-19 in the semi-final, and UL Bows were defeated 13-8 in the other. The final is at 7:45. Tickets still available, or you can watch it live on TG4. In the world of sevens, there's been a remodelling, a reshuffling of the World Sevens series, which will include 7 festival-style events in 7 iconic global destinations across 7 months. See what they've done there? Featuring the best 12 men's and 12 women's teams, and is set to kick off in December 2023. And of course, the Sevens has started back up again, hasn't it? Over in the desert in Dubai, and Australia have picked up where they left off last season. They pretty much won everything last season, didn't they? They won the final over in Dubai, beating New Zealand. USA were 3rd, France 4th. Ireland finished up 6th, and Team GB were down in 8th. The teams are off to Cape Town this weekend. But without further ado, let's get to the main event of this podcast. Siwan Lillicrap, capped 51 times per country. Brilliant player, fabulous person. It is an absolute pleasure, as it always is, to have Siwan Lillicrap on the Women's Rugby Pod. Good morning to you, Captain, my captain. How are we?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Johnny. Good.
Nice and cold and crisp on this morning.
Yeah, it's freezing. Where's the sunshine? Get me back to New Zealand because it's summer out there.
Yeah, indeed. Oh well, look, you've segued beautifully into today. Obviously with last week's news of your retiring from international rugby, wanted to get back. I've always been a fan of you on the field and off the field, and we just want to take a meander down memory lane. But you brought it up there. How was New Zealand?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I've never been to New Zealand, so it was cool to get to the country. And I think, as Wales, we're a rugby mad nation, but I think they're just as rugby mad, and everyone's interested in your rugby, what you're doing out there, and everyone was super friendly, and it was a beautiful country. So yeah, really enjoyed out there. And obviously the World Cup probably was taken to the next level out there, with regards to the standards of playing and the way it was all run. So yeah, it was, I was fortunate enough to go to Ireland in 17, and then to experience this World Cup in New Zealand, which was very different to Ireland, but very good as well. So yeah, it was amazing, and yeah, made lifelong memories. And to be able to tour as well with the squad and be away for nearly 6 weeks with the girls was fab. So yeah, it was, when we went to Ireland, it was 3 weeks. So it was a very different experience from that as well. So it was, I loved it. I loved every moment.
Best moments off the field? Was it jumping in waterfalls, playing silly games, dressing up night? Come on, what was the highlight off the field?
Yeah, I think I don't know. There's a couple, but those bonds that you create with your teammates, like as I say, we've never really toured together before, so that was massive. And even though I've played with some of these girls for a few years, I created better friendships again. But yeah, some of the beaches were fantastic. We had a day paddle boarding, pizzas on the beach. That was up there with one of the highlights, because playing cricket on the beach, pizzas. We had this massive paddle board with 6 of us on, and we went out to the waters, and like we're out there for a while. That was, that's where you create your best memories, when you do activities like that. So that was up there with one of the best days, and yeah, some of the waterfalls as well. But as well, we had 1 or 2 good nights out as well after it finished, and really enjoyed that side of New Zealand as well. I also think that's really important, that when rugby's done as well, you can enjoy each other's company with a bit of downtime, and get out and enjoy yourself and relax. And we did that after we were knocked out as well. So we had a couple of good nights as a squad, which was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly won't dig any further there, because as you know, what goes on stays on. Yeah. But I just wanted to pick up on something you said. You privileged enough to be at a couple of World Cups. Because a sense from outside and as a broadcaster, yeah, of course you have your little spikes into camps and stuff, but just as a whole, it looked as though, yeah, it certainly had taken another level up. And I don't know what you did, whether post quarter final, whether you stuck around or not, or whether you came straight home, got straight back to the doggies. But was there a sense on the ground that, wow, this is definitely another step up?
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, mainly from the spectator support, the crowds that were there. And we were fortunate enough, obviously, we had New Zealand in our pool. So, Scotland first game, we knew that would be like a World Cup final for us. That was a must-win game, and managed to clinch it in the 84th minute. And then New Zealand next, so host nation, which was outstanding, sellout crowd. And then we had Australia third, but New Zealand were playing straight after us. So, the crowd again for that game that were coming in the stadium for our game, but also then to support New Zealand after, the stadium again was sold out, and the atmosphere was unreal. So, yeah, I felt like it had taken, from a crowd's perspective, spectators' perspective, a step up. And I just felt like, the quality of rugby is just getting better and better every time. And I think all nations are getting better. So, everyone's got to keep banging that drum and enhancing resources and getting behind their squads, because everyone's getting better. And we can see that from, a little bit of professionalism that some nations have had and we've had of late. It really enhances performance and what we can do on the field. So, yeah, from that end, like, it was brilliant. And then, walking around Auckland, the presence that was there was fantastic. And then up in Whangarei was a bit different, smaller community, but every person was interested, no matter what coffee shop you went into, no matter you walking around the streets, people wanted to know where you were from, and like, were getting behind it. And then, the shops, it was only a small town centre, but the shops had sponsored sides. So like, there was a Welsh sponsored sports shop there, and then Welsh flags up and stuff. So yeah, everyone in the community got behind it in Whangarei, and I hope like it's inspired that part of the island really to really get behind women's rugby.
Just a couple of words on the final. Yeah, I mean, certainly right up there with one of the best games of women's rugby. Rugby we've probably ever seen. Certainly one of the best World Cup finals I think we've ever seen. That semi-final as well, New Zealand France was brilliant. Just your take on that final.
Oh, I loved it. So yeah, got up. I was home by that point, but what a morning! Like, I think I'll remember that game forever. Watching, the emotions as well. I felt all the emotions as a player from a different country that all of them went through. It was fantastic, end-to-end stuff, just excitement throughout, and you didn't know who was going to win it down to the wire. So, lots of tries scored as well, and the atmosphere in Eden Park looked electric. I agree with you. I think it was one of the best rugby games I've seen. Well, definitely in a long time, if not the best rugby game I've seen. And what an advert for women's rugby. And hopefully, people watched that and have got behind it if they haven't been women's rugby supporters before. But, I thought both teams were superb. I thought the fairy tale really that of New Zealand over what they've been through, and then Wayne Smith coming in and the transformation there. and have faced them. I thought they got better and better each game out when we played them. So we played them game 2, and then we played them in the quarters, and watching them closely because they were in our pool, and then we knew we would face them. I thought they got better and better as the tournament went on, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, England, and they've been the best team in the world for a long time, and they showed that, I thought, throughout the tournament. And I felt their heartache at the end because of the way it ended for them. But I think knowing some of the girls as well, they're hurting, but they've got to take pride in what they've done for women's rugby, because they have been the pioneers of change, and that standard of professionalism and how they've played over the last few years. So I felt their heartache as well, but I love the fairy tale ending for New Zealand as well. So for the sport, it was absolutely amazing.
As someone from Wales, that's very magnanimous of you. No, it was epic stuff. Look, now that the dust has settled, you've had those cuddles with the canines. Wow, what a greeting! I bet you had, was sensational, wasn't it? The dust has settled now. How do you review Wales's performance, being the skipper, co-skipper through the tournament? I suspect kind of 18 months ago, to get to a quarterfinal, you said, yeah, I will bite off your right arm, left arm, and both legs, if that's okay. But no, just now the dust has settled. How is it? How's it all settling with you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I agree. Like 18 months ago, where we were, like I'd bitten anyone's right arm off to have reached the quarters. I thought we did well in patches, but could have done better as well in other areas. To win that Scotland game, I thought we shown again that resilience and that composure to come back and win that game. And that Kira Bevan kick, I thought we did extremely well first half against the Black Ferns.
Had to be her, didn't it? Had to be Kira, didn't it?
Yeah, had to be Kira. So we'll never live that down. But yeah, we'll never hear the end of that. But
no.
Fair play to her. The reality was we'd concentrated on that Scotland game since they qualified. So that preparation for that game was not just a few months. It was basically all of our professional, era since January. As soon as we knew they'd kind of qualified, we were concentrating on how we were going to win that game. So that was massive. And then to come on, and she was balls of steel essentially. She took the kick and she put herself forward and was like, no, I've got this. And I backed her, and she looked never in doubt, to be fair to her. So that's huge credit to her. And then I thought we probably played our best rugby actually that first half against the second game against the Black Ferns. I thought set piece really fired. We didn't take all of our opportunities. If we'd taken our opportunities first half, we would have gone in a different score. We put a lot of pressure on them. They didn't have much possession and territory. And then second half, it flipped full cycle. If we could have maintained that pressure and taken our opportunities, would have been a different day. And then probably Australia was probably our most gutting performance, because I don't think we played as best as we could have that day. Didn't have much opportunity out there. And even though we qualified for the quarters, I think that Australia game performance is one that we should have really stepped up and taken. But luckily enough, reached the quarters, and then that was a surreal opportunity. And even though it was a heavy scoreline, I thought the girls, we really put our bodies on the line and worked really hard, and you couldn't doubt anyone's desire in that game to put everything out there. So I thought, yeah, proud of the girls and what we've achieved over the last 18 months, really, since everything, the amount of coaches we've had, the amount of change we've had behind the scenes, and then the start of professionalism and new management coming in, and building that trust and that belief, and adapting our game plan. I think we're starting now to see glimpses of some real good stuff from us. So I think our set piece took a huge step forward in the World Cup as well. Our driving mauls, our scrums were very good. So we're starting to see the foundations put in place now, and I hope the squad can really kick on. And for me, really coming home and fulfilled a dream. Waited a long time really for this World Cup to happen. I was like, another year. And, I'm 35, so I'm not getting any younger. Yeah, I know you weren't going to mention my age, Johnnie.
No, too much of a gen.
So, yeah, and then, for me, I've like always given, I feel like hopefully over 100% to that jersey and to Wales women's rugby, and to feel like I probably couldn't give that anymore. I knew that was the right time to step away with a new cycle and everything gonna happen. So yeah, it doesn't make even though I know the decision's right for me, doesn't make it any easier when you've had some kind of identity and a sense of belonging for so long, and then you're stepping away from that. So it was a tough decision, and one I'll probably be on a roller coaster of emotions with for some time. But I'm excited to see where the squad can go as well now moving forward, because I think good foundations have been put in place.
Certainly getting there. It sounds like you're reasonably happy with that sort of World Cup campaign. And was that part of the reason that you said, you know what, enough is enough? I'll leave it at a World Cup in a spiritual home of rugby. Got a quarter final, captain my country. Do you know what? We performed very well, gave it our best shot, and that's a good time to go.
Yeah, I think it is a combination of everything. What you just said is spot on. A World Cup and spiritual home of rugby, and we reached the quarters, which was one of our aims. I think we look back, we could have done better in some games in some areas, and I would have liked to have achieved a little bit more. But with that, and then a good Six Nations campaign, our best finish in a long time, the professional contracts in place, and then how my body and mind feel as well, and yeah, just with all aspects considered, it is the best time for me to step away. And we all work in World Cup cycles as well. The vision will now be looking forward to 2025 in England, which will be amazing. And as I say, at the age of 35, would I be able to go for another 3 years, and how my body feels? Can I give 100%? No. So I'm like, now is the right time to kind of step away and let other people step in really, and really build towards the next 3 years, and then hopefully take on England World Cup in 25. So yeah, which is going to be amazing, exciting, and yeah, hopefully be able to watch from afar and watch them do well.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of watcher you're going to be. Perhaps we'll catch up with you around the Six Nations and see how you deal with that. As I mentioned, let's just whiz back. When did rugby grasp you?
Young age, really. Rugby grasped me. I grew up in Wanalaith Rugby Club. My dad coached, my brother played, and every weekend I spent down there and loved it. That's what I looked forward to on the weekend, was being down the rugby club. But unfortunately, I couldn't start playing until I was 17, and that was straight into senior rugby, because there was no local girls' side, or not many girls' sides really at all back then, 17 years ago, or 18 years ago now. But I was probably the best serving water girl that Wanalaith had. I was water girl for their first team every Saturday with my dad, and travelled all around Wales supporting them, and loved it. So then, as soon as my 17th birthday was, I went training that following Thursday, and I think I played the week after that. But I'd always had a rugby ball in my hand. Like, I was always on the field. I had boots. I knew the game really growing up, because I was around it all the time. And then, yeah, I was playing the week after that, but started off in the centre somehow, and then gradually moved forward to back row. Yeah. So yeah, 17, I started playing, and then went to university, played in uni in Swansea, and then one of the girls, Neath Athletic at the time, was probably one of the best Welsh sides in Wales at the time, and it was like, come to Neath, play a better standard. So with a heavy heart, left Wanalaith to play in the Welsh Prem at the time, and went there, and that's when they converted me to back row, and never really looked back, and was part of the Wales extended squad from 2012, and was definition of team bin juice. Never made a campaign squad, was pad holder, was like extra training number, not announced in any Six Nations squads for 4 years, and then 2016 had my shot really, and at the age of 28. So I was like, the dream come true. You know, I thought my dream was to play for Wales, wear the red jersey, and had huge pride and honour then. And I was like, I've achieved something big here, especially after all the rejection. So many times I was like, oh, I'm going to give up rugby. I'm going to take up something else. And then, yeah. And then I thought, oh, achieve another dream, go to the World Cup in 2017. That was a focus. And that year I also started a new job in Swansea Uni as head of rugby in 2017. And after the World Cup, lucky I had a great boss at the time, and I was like, you know, I want to really throw myself into this role, head of rugby. I want to commit more to it now and really drive it forward, because, you know, the rugby program at the uni wasn't really established much at the time, and lots of things needed to change. And he'd watched me throughout the World Cup as a great sport. He was like, no, I don't think you should stop, Shu. We'll support you as a uni. So keep playing. We'll get behind you. And, you know, one thing he always learned was you never get your playing days back. So stick to it. So I did. And then, yeah, we'll win then. I'm captain in 2019. And then, you know, 3 years as captain. And then, you know, been through a big transformation, been through our toughest times, to then coming out, having these professional contracts in place, you know, a good base now, good infrastructure, hopefully for moving forward, to go into another World Cup. And I'm like, where's the last 6-7 years gone, and how has all this happened, you know? And yeah, it's mad when I think back and think of my story, and so many times being like, oh, can I do this anymore? And juggling, balancing, working, traveling as well at the time to Bristol as well the last few years, whilst working in Swansea University, whilst playing for Wales and traveling to Bristol. Like, it's all been a busy few years, but then got to fulfill a dream and be a pro rugby player for a year, which is, you know, pretty epic. And a lot of people said, oh, I can't believe you're leaving your job in Swansea University to, you know, be a professional rugby player at my age as well, you know, 34, 35. I was like, I'll never get this opportunity again. It's kind of a now or never situation. So family supported me, and yeah, so I've done that, experienced that, and yeah, learned a lot as well. And then I'm kind of hanging up my boots.
We are indeed. You're in a real reflective mood. And yeah, we've had you on the pod here and been in lots of different frames of mind. But yeah, you seem really reflective about it. Or is it quite mad when you? I mean, that was a couple of minutes soliloquy, but you were away and just reminiscing about it all. It was lovely. But is it quite mad to think back, geez, where you've come from, what you've actually achieved when you look at it like that?
Yeah, I think it is. So that's why, like, it's a lot in a few years, you know, and at my age, and I knew I wanted to have the opportunity to wear that red jersey once, never mind 51 times. And then when I think of everything that we've gone through, is crazy over the years, and I've had the biggest roller coaster ever, like with the highest of highs and, you know, the lowest of lows, and coming off the field and breaking down because, like, things weren't very good and I didn't know what the answers were, and I didn't know how we take our next step forward as a squad. But, you know, one thing that's never changed really is my care, passion and desire for Wales rugby, and especially Wales women's rugby, and us wanting us to do well, but also for better things for the future. And I think, you know, someone asked me, like, what's your biggest achievement? And I think it's probably nothing on the field, actually. It's probably what we've managed to put in place for the future of the game. And hopefully, like, I've had the best times of my life playing rugby and made the best friends, and nothing beats wearing that red jersey. But hopefully now it makes it better for anyone else who's going to be in that fortunate position in the future. And yeah, I look back and I think, oh my gosh, so much has happened and so much we've come through, but I actually wouldn't change any of it, like the tough times, because it's actually made me a better person, for one, I think. And for two, like, if you don't go through those tough times, the good times don't come as well. So sometimes you've got to have that to have the good times. And I've learned that over the years, even though sometimes been tough. But yeah, it's crazy. If I spoke to you like 6 years ago, I would never have said all of this would have happened. You know, it was one cap and I was like, yeah, I've achieved something here, and I was kind of proud of myself then. And now I'm like, wow, lots has happened in 6 years.
Oh, look, there's so much to pick up on there, and I was going to ask you what your greatest achievement was, but you've answered that question. It just seems to me, yeah, you're on a lease till you're 17 years of age. Then, because of where women's rugby was, we're traveling, we're making up lunch, we're making up dinner at 4 a.m. because you need to be able to eat in between driving to training and doing your job and all the rest of it. You're not called into a squad for 4 years. But this unbelievable ability, it seems like when you've had that opportunity, you've grasped it with both hands, hugged it, and refused to let it go. Where's that drive and passion come from? Perhaps you've touched on it with the passion for your country and playing for it.
Yeah, I think even though I didn't play till 17, what rugby gave me as a young age, just in the community club in Wynalaeth, like I had a family away from family. I had friends away from school and, away from day-to-day life, essentially, with school, like going up there, spending time hanging out with the boys, like every weekend, and just having people that you could rely on and I knew would be there for me no matter what. And so that, taught me how to love something, really. And that made me fall in love with rugby. And watching Wynalaeth, I remember like they were in Division 5, climbed to Division 1 when I was growing up, and promotion and then relegation and all that heartache and stuff. And I loved that journey, that whole journey, but the people made that, definitely. And then, proud Welsh family, grandfather, all my grandparents, like I've always followed rugby, and a small nation, and I've always been proud to be Welsh. And I think all of that combined, like, made rugby just a huge part of my life. And yeah, I think that was what gave me that determination, but also like definitely my family and everything they taught me and the values growing up, and never giving up, and sticking with something you believe in definitely has helped me along the way, definitely.
How often did you get back down to the club?
Not as often as I liked, hopefully more now, because we spend so much time on the road and stuff. But yeah, definitely, a couple of times a year I get down there, but hopefully a little bit more now in the future, and see their teams play and stuff. And I know they've got a great, they've always had a great junior section there, all the way through from youngsters all the way up. And unfortunately, the women's side there folded a fair few years ago now. But so yeah, hopefully a little bit more in the future. But yeah, Liam Williams also from Sanjay's also from Wynalaeth, and a couple of other players, Nikki Smith as well. So like they're really big supporters and really proud of all of their players that have come through there, and always sending messages and getting behind. And yeah, they're building a new clubhouse there now and stuff, so hopefully can do some stuff with that and help get behind that as well, and help with some of the fundraising that's gone on. So yeah, it's a great club, and yeah, I owe a lot to that club, to be fair.
I mean, your dad sounds like a sensational coach, level 5 up to level 1. Is he sliding his CV into Gats? Is he for one of the assistant roles?
I think he was back in the day. He tries to tell me now what I shouldn't do. I don't know how much I listen to my Johnnie, but yeah.
Oh look, I mean, I'm conscious of your time, and it's always lovely to chat to you. And I would love to go into some more depth. But you mentioned there just possibly just giving a little bit back. Not that I feel you have to in any way, shape, or form. But what's the plan now? You're still cracking on with Gloucester Hartpury, top of the Prem 15s table, and obviously Linny, Sean Lynn's got an outstanding squad there, which you're part of. What's the plan now?
Yeah, I think enjoy Gloucester Hartpury this year. Give as much as I can to that, and I think they got a great squad there, but also a great bunch of girls, and like Linny's a great guy as well, so got a great culture and a great social element as well to the squad. So I think just want to enjoy playing, and playing for the reason why I fell in love with the game in the first place, through friendship and everything else. So want to enjoy that, and hopefully work within rugby in some format is my hope, you know, and give back to the game somewhat. And yeah, that's my hope. But being completely honest, like just spending December decompressing, spending time with family, enjoying Christmas with family, and relaxing somewhat. And that's my aim, the immediate aim for December. You know, it's a lot to take in and recover as well from everything. And, you know, like it's been a busy year, so family time is important as well, I think, at Christmas. So that's the immediate thing, but hopefully we'll get an opportunity to work in the game somehow. That's my hope anyway.
Is that you leaning towards a camera / microphone, leaning towards a tracksuit, or leaning towards a boardroom?
Do you know what? I don't know. I really enjoyed doing comms when I've done it, like on the side in the past. So hopefully maybe a bit of microphone stuff, and hopefully in a tracksuit as well. I hope I can do a bit of both of those in the new year. I hope so. That's my hope, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
There's little fingers and little pies there, which you can't tell us about because a little glint in your eye. I just wanted to finish off, if we may. A couple of these have been answered already, but so I've got to whiz them off. Just a quick fire round, and it really is quick fire, like one word. Best roommate.
Eleanor Snowsill.
Worst roommate.
Oh. We have consistent roommates. I know this is quick fire, but probably someone like Hannah Jones would be my worst. I love the girl, but just because she goes to bed early.
There you are, good enough reason. Favorite team social?
Oh, it's end of campaign, night out. That's always the best.
Is there a particular, the fancy dress that you remember particularly well, or a theme, or a particular weekend, or?
We've never done fancy dress, but one good one was Natalia John's mum's got a pub, and we had the pub to ourselves essentially after one campaign, and that was a very good night. Free run of the pub. Yeah.
Wow, that is Dreamsville.
I won't say no more details on that.
Yeah, no, indeed not. Must just get the name of the pub from you though. Favorite ground?
Cardiff Arms Park.
Favorite cap?
Principality. Played there twice. That is absolutely the best. But cap has been our home for the last few years, which has been special. Yeah.
Favorite cap out of the 51?
Gosh, that is a tough one. I'm going to go number 1 because that was the start. That was Ireland away, 2016 Six Nations, first game of the Six Nations. We did lose, but like that was a huge moment for me, and been so long getting there. But then that was the start of the rest of it. So yeah, if I didn't have cap number 1, I wouldn't have had cap number 51.
Oh, I can almost see you going back there and singing the anthem. Toughest opposition as a team?
England.
Toughest opponent?
I'm going to say Mali Packer.
Favorite match, if it's different from your first cap?
Favorite match? I was going to say Scotland game this year. Scotland Six Nations 2022. Left it to the wire again, but yeah, it was just a great game and a huge game for us.
The hope for women's rugby in Wales for the next 5 to 10 years?
More professional contracts, stability really with that high end of the game, making sure that bulletproof and it's sustainable moving forward, and that commitment continues, but then the development and enhancement of the pathways. So, it's not just the high end of the game that is in a good spot. We've got players coming through, stuff to aspire to, and that, also inspire girls to achieve other things. So I think that's the biggest thing that I want to see over the next 5 to 10 years is, all that club structure up to pathway to age grade all be in place and in a good spot moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing that we can achieve now.
Brilliant. John, it's been fabulous. You've given us loads of your time and been really, really honest and reflective, and it's been just a lovely, lovely chat. Look, it seems to me, and I'm just going to blow a little bit of smoke in your direction. You've just been on a crusade, and at times it felt like you were the only person on that crusade, on that side for the players, and you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. And many people say, you want to leave the shirt in a better place, and women's rugby and Wales at the top level is professional now, and a huge part of that is down to you. And it's been a pleasure covering you either in commentary or pod life. Hopefully we will see you on the touchline very, very soon. But thank you so much this morning.
Thank you, Johnny. Cheers. Thanks very much.
To international news to bring you up to date with. Rugby's global expansion continued as 3 new national unions were approved as associated members at the interim meeting of the World Rugby Council in Auckland back in November. St Lucia ascended to full membership status, while the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt and Syria were confirmed as associate members. Speaking of rugby around the world and the expansion, China have won the Asia Sevens in UAE. It was the third and final round where the overall title was decided after China and Japan had won a leg each. It is China's first title since 2014. Playing in the capital, Mexico regained the America's North title and also won the region's first under-18 title. Staying in South America, Brazil hosted their first ever test match in Mogi das Cruzes. Hope I've pronounced that right. The friendly against Colombia was intense and ended with Colombia victory by 25-17, but real promise from Brazil's 15-side. Cameroon over in Africa reached the finals of the Africa Women's Cup, topping qualifying Pool D with 2 wins and without conceding a point. West Africa completed 3 weeks of Africa Cup qualifiers with a tournament in Cameroon featuring 3 of the continent's newest rugby nations. Cameroon, Côte d'Ivory, Burkina Faso having also made their test debuts in 2021. Cameroon will now join South Africa, Kenya and Madagascar in the finals next year. The top 2 teams will qualify for the WXV. In Australia, the Super W fixtures have been announced. Kicks off late March, 24th-25th, with a double header with the Super Rugby Pacifica as the Waratahs host the Western Force. Jura take on the Brumbies and the Reds travel to the Rebels, both those on the Saturday. 5 regular round semi-finals and a grand final scheduled for Saturday, May the 6th, 2023. Hopping over to Europe, in the European Trophy, Portugal are leading the way after hammering Belgium in their opening game. Also on 5 match points, Finland and the Czech Republic beating Germany and Belgium respectively. Germany picked up their win against Czech Republic, Belgium still winless. The competition recommences in February, as does the European Championship, with the Netherlands, Spain and Sweden going head to head. In preparation for that, Sweden took on Portugal last weekend, winning 7 points to 5. Far more dramatic than the scoreline suggests in that one. Now to New Zealand. Hannah Porter, you may know her from her playing days, but she's been the Black Ferns manager for many a year. She's now become the head of women's high performance at NZ Rugby. The World Cup hosts have also ended their season with their awards this week. Massive night for Ruhe Demant, scooping the Tom French Memorial Māori Player, the Black Ferns Player and the Kelvin R. Tremaine Memorial Player of the Year awards. Incredible year for her. Wayne Smith won Coach of the Year, Team of the Year with Black Ferns. No surprise there. And Canterbury won 2 awards, National Team of the Year, and their coach Blair Baxter picked up Coach of the Year. Michaela Blythe was his 7th Player of the Year. And Stacey Fleur's try in that World Cup final was voted Try of the Year. Still in the land of the long white cloud, New Zealand Rugby have announced Dame Patsy Reddy as their first ever female chairperson. Alongside her, current New Zealand Rugby directors Professor Farah Palmer and Bailey McKay have been elected as joint deputy chairs. And one final shout out, Andrea Di Giandomenico has retired as the Italian head coach after 13 years, leading his country to their first ever World Cup quarter final. Great coach, really, really nice fella, has always done whatever he can to promote his team and his players. Yeah, real pleasure to interview and to chat to as well. He'll continue his role with the union in training their other coaches. And we wish you the best for the coming week. Be nice to each other, keep smiling, stay safe.